Main character syndrome. That's not just an incredibly online term, but a pretty wide perception. People supposedly being narcissistic, self-centered. Generally young generations. Understandable when you see stuff like this.
So looking at it, bro, we gotta go ahead and get in at least 10,000.
But let's be real for a second. While yes, these are pretty insufferable people, the underlying desire behind the syndrome to be the protagonist of your own cinematic story is kinda universal. Like, who wouldn't want to feel like they're in control or be someone special in all this mess? Like they're living the life they should be living. It's so much easier to control your life when you're playing a character instead of being yourself. And I think having the main character syndrome isn't necessarily narcissistic, as we're all affected by it to some extent.
Yeah, especially you.
At least I have some decency. I mean, we all had these imaginary arguments in our head while showering, what I would have loved to say instead of what actually happened. And online, we might post photos, edited TikToks of ourselves or stories that shows a life that's actually not that bad. I like looking at stuff I posted. It's like a portal into romanticized memories. Having the main character syndrome is a way of escape, cope, denial, a romanticized version of your life. So instead of painting entire generations as self-centered, I think it's more productive to ask why we even tend to cope from reality in the first place. I mean, look at all this shit. Being forced to go to your boring 9-to-5 job while noticing how everything around you has gotten either more expensive, hostile, or just fucking stupid. Like, how can you not feel powerless, crushed by this world that is on fucking fire right now? And not just figuratively. Romanticizing is, of course, not the only form of cope. Content, gaming, movies, art, fitness, even work, whatever works for you. One of the reasons why we are doing it is always the same. To escape.
I feel like at first when people were designating themselves as the main character, it was just a way to romanticize their lives and, make the mundane seem a little bit more interesting just so that people would, be okay and, not want to kill themselves.
All this glamorizing yourself can lead to very cliche and cringe content. And no matter the intent, it's of course always self-centered. But I get it. Behind all egotistical calls for attention is a need, a gap that we want to fill. Imagining or expressing the life you want to have or person you want to be can tell us a lot about our desires or lack of needs. That way we could understand ourselves more and embrace and not be ashamed of all your different traits and emotions in your own story. So in that way, you kind of feel empowered, while posts like these can easily be laughed at as weird self-centered grab for attention. There certainly are people that feel connected and less alone when seeing others dealing with the same emotions. I mean, sometimes it just feels good to share something to the public. We just need to be careful to not fall into the traps of making everything an aesthetic. Turning mental health, pain like abuse into something desirable is kind of fucked up. But I honestly have no idea how to express your inner struggles publicly in a way that's compelling or artistic enough to deserve attention, without coming across as narcissistic or somewhat desirable. Wanting to make your life appear more attractive or better isn't surprising, given the circumstances we live in, and of course besides how the internet operates. Because once you dare to ask for a better life, like better pay, better working conditions, or saving ourselves from a climate disaster, maybe not discriminating someone simply based on how they look like or who they love, or simple things like having control over your own fucking body doesn't matter. You will, at some point, to put it lightly, be labeled as entitled, preachy, lazy, naive, woke, delusional, envious, or in Germany surely somehow anti-Semitic. And now, they have the audacity to wonder why the young generation is fucking angry. See, the whole culture war online or in media is shifting our anger away from important systematic issues to why trans people using women's bathrooms is why the West is doomed. Like, bro, I don't care, let them piss where they want, I just want to be able to pay rent. The new right is very good at organizing, spreading their simple narrative and labeling themselves as the freedom fighters of the working class. They know how to tap into that anger, to mobilize people. And now look where all this shit has led us to. Funding genocide, far right on everyone demanding deportation, rising prices, ultra wealthy become exponentially human rights second, no actions against them, heading towards potentially police brutality, rising femicide, the list goes on and on and on and on. Like, what the fuck are we even supposed to do? You see this too, right? That noticeable aesthetic trend towards the past online, lifestyles, fashion, that analog look. A lot of filmmakers on YouTube, like a lot of filmmakers on YouTube, have that similar nostalgic coming of age aesthetic. Nostalgia is a perfect escape into a romanticized past or even just a memory. A time when everything seemed better, easier, when you could just feel like a kid again. There's a certain warmth to this nostalgic aesthetic, something comforting, but at the same time, it's dripping with melancholy, with longing. And we ask ourselves, where did the time go? When did my world stop feeling so full of color? Or we fixate on single memories that somehow feel like they define our present. The shower thoughts of all arguments. How I could have saved my friendship, how I could have saved my relationships. The moments we keep rewinding in our heads over and over and over and over again. Well, maybe because they reveal what truly matters to you. But it's always worth remembering. These snapshots are just that. Snapshots. The full picture was probably very different. If we keep looking at our own content and our past memories as if we were just observers of our own lives, then who are we, really? Can you feel this? That sense of alienation and detachment from everything? Everything has become so overwhelming that my sense of self and reality somehow feels more and more distant. It's all gotten so batshit absurd that we should be laughing about it if it weren't also so depressing. No wonder so many of us try to escape into a better reality when reality looks like this. And I swear I'm not that blue all the time. But there are moments when I wonder, why shouldn't we just end it all when it feels like the world isn't far behind us anyway? And by the way, the weird thing about the main character syndrome is that being the most important character in your story also means that other people must be looking at you all the time, right? Our self-centered perception can lead to this weird fragile relationship between, look at me, I'm good just the way I am, and look at me, I'm good just the way I am, right? Right? I'm never quite sure if embracing your true self that way actually boosts your confidence, or if it's just another way of seeking validation from others. I fear that by constantly romanticizing our lives or drowning ourselves in nostalgia, we focus too much on what we don't have but wish we did, instead of appreciating what we already have and love in the present. The world fucking sucks right now. And no amount of just focus on the good things in life is going to change the fact that everything feels like it's falling apart. Escape can help us to understand ourselves more or to embrace who we are, what we feel, what we want, or what we need. At least when we're not losing ourselves in it. The tragedy behind the main character syndrome isn't that we see ourselves as the center of everything. It's that we feel powerless to change the plot.